Hey there, it's DJ Shaka Not Khan coming to you with some of my favorite slow jams. See, this is what I like to call the quiet storm. Now just sit back, relax, and I was just informed that there is something more important going on. Oh, okay, I see. The AP seminar students need to prepare for their exam. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic on to some real intellectuals that call themselves Hark. See, 'cause like we say here, if you ain't passing, ain't nothing happening. Let me go ahead and welcome Hark to the mic so they can explain to you students Section 1, Part A of the rubric. So what's happening? Now we are going to focus on understanding and analyzing the argument in question 1. The worst score on this part of the rubric says the response misstates the author's argument, main idea, or thesis. This means that the student completely misunderstood the concept of the text. The second best score on this part of the rubric says the response identifies in part and with some accuracy the author's argument, main idea, and thesis. This means that though the student did not completely misunderstand the text, he or she still did not completely get the full idea of what was read. The best score on this part of the rubric says the response accurately identifies the author's purpose, main idea, and thesis. This means that the student completely understood what he or she read. The goal, of course, is to get a 3 in this section. Some tips to help you all get this score are as following. First off, read thoroughly. Every little detail will help you to completely understand the purpose of the text. Second, look for the author's response to an argument or question. This will help to identify the thesis. Finally, look for the author's main idea or common theme. The previously mentioned strategies will help in this process.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to achieve a perfect score on question 2, which focuses on understanding and analyzing the argument. The lowest amount of points you can receive for this section is identified by the response omitting or misidentifying the author's claims and providing little or no explanation of how the author establishes a line of reasoning. You can receive 4 points by identifying some of the author's claims and connections between them that produce a limited explanation of the author's line of reasoning. However, the highest amount of points focuses on the author's relevant claims and the connections between them, and by producing a thorough explanation of the author's line of reasoning. Some good tips are to annotate and identify what the author is trying to say. You can do this by looking at the thesis or the main idea of the paper and connecting it with the author's claims or their body paragraphs or different topic sentences and ideas that they bring up to support their thesis. So you also want to identify the author's evidence, which they will provide in their different body paragraphs, and find how it connects to their main idea and the different arguments that they are providing in their thesis. You additionally want to provide a detailed description of the listed above, because one of the requirements in the rubric is that your description is thorough and detailed and provides all of the necessary connections and explanations of what the author is trying to say. Instead of just providing it briefly, you want to explicitly state it for the reader.
Question 3, analyzing and evaluating evidence. So for 2 points, the response omits or misidentifies some of the evidence. The response disregards how well the evidence supports the argument. For 4 points, the response partially identifies and evaluates the evidence. Evaluation of the effectiveness of the evidence in supporting the argument's claims is limited or general. And for the full points, for 6 points, the response provides a thorough and detailed evaluation of how well the evidence supports the argument, and the response evaluates the relevance and credibility of the evidence. So this score, a 6, is ultimately what we are hoping for. Some tips for achieving that are to take a stance and make sure that you clearly state your argument. to restate and rephrase the author's thesis so you can make a clear connection to your between your argument and their argument, and to thoroughly explain the author's argument and the evidence backing it up. And finally, to analyze the author's credibility, because you need to make sure that your reader understands why they should believe the author. Alright, so let's play Jeopardy! To test your knowledge of how to get a perfect score on this section of the AP, click the link and go to the website where there's a Jeopardy! For your class to play. Divide into teams and then have one person read the questions aloud to each team and allocate the points based on whether or not the questions are answered correctly or not. The winner gets the knowledge that they are going to pass the AP.